Would you believe if I told you that a silly story about panty lines helped me land a 5-figure pay-in-full copywriting client? Sounds hard to believe, right? But it's true. Before that, selling my services felt very much like trying to walk my donkey of a dog when he really didn't want to do anything but laze around in the sun. If you've ever tried walking a brick, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I first started my business, I seriously probably couldn't have even sold deodorant to somebody with BO, right? Like I really had a hard time pitching myself. I stumbled over my pricing. I focused too much on selling the features and my credentials and my expertise rather than what really mattered to the client, which was the outcome. And I got really dejected. I thought it was me, my offer, my pitching style. I thought maybe that I just wasn't cut out to be an entrepreneur and I should just pack it in and go home. But none of that was actually true. I just wasn't giving people a compelling enough reason to hire me and retain my services because I was really focusing on the wrong shit. I hadn't yet discovered the art of story selling. I'm Lisa. I'm on a mission to help service-based businesses stand out from the crowd through personality-driven messaging that's simple, memorable, and fun to read. Because if it's not fun, nobody's going to do it. And in this video, I'm going to share with you an easy-to-remember framework for using storytelling in your marketing to get you more sales. So why do stories sell so well? Well, it's because your brain is genetically wired to remember stories 22 times better than facts alone. So how does this work, right? So imagine if somebody came to you and said, my fitness program is the best fitness program in the world or the best weight loss program in the world, and it's award winning and blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Everybody says that. What makes you so different? But if they came to you and told you a story about some 550-pound wheelchair dependent dude who called up and gave a testimonial that not only was this fitness program the reason he fit into a tux and was able to walk his daughter down the aisle, but it also enabled him to get on the dance floor and have a father-daughter dance with her, you'd remember that, right? That's a little bit more compelling. That gets you in the heart. So that's what we want. We want to get people in the heartstrings in an ethical way with integrity so that you're memorable, so that you're stand outable, and so that they think of you when they're ready to make a purchase, right? If you're not telling stories in your business yet, today is the day that you're going to start. And it's going to feel a little awkward. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable at first. But as you flex this muscle and you build it, it's going to feel better and better. And pretty soon it's going to be second nature. And like I said, I'm going to give you the simple framework to get there. But let me tell you this story before I forget. When I started my business, I joined a networking group and I really needed to pitch myself and my business to be able to get referrals, to get these people to sit up, to notice me, to trust me, to build credibility and authority. And at first, I would just talk about who I was and my background and what I did and who I served and all these things, all the wah, wah, wah. And I could see that, like some people would nod politely and others would take notes, but really didn't make any strides. When I was watching these people and I was watching who was making the most impact and who made people sit up straight. And it was the people that were telling the story. So I'm like, all right, I need to tell some stories. I need to get good at this. And I'm a copywriter. I'm not like a graphic designer who can show a pretty visual and say, this is what I made, or a website designer who can show a slick website. Like I said, I'm a copywriter. What am I going to show? A Google Doc full of words? Probably not going to get me very far, right? So I needed to get creative. So I put up a slide and on it was a photo of a woman in very tight pants with very visible panty lines. And of course, everybody's like shocked and wondering, where is this going? This is a professional meeting. And I was like, this woman was miserably failed by terrible copy because the ads for these leggings, workout leggings, really tight pants, right, hadn't mentioned a really key fact, which was how to avoid the bunched up panty line. So most of the ads, right, they talk about how leggings are squat proof. They maybe are a little bit sculpting so they can lift your butt a little bit. They're durable. They won't fall down on you. You're not going to constantly be yanking them up. But what none of them do is talk about how to get that really nice, smooth look that are in the ads. Like nobody tells you that you're not supposed to wear panties with these things. So how did I know this? Because I had just seen a Facebook thread about this in a fitness group where some poor exasperated woman just like finally posted anonymously because she was embarrassed. She's like, how do all you ladies get that beautiful smooth look without your panty lines showing? And so they're like this lit up a firestorm, and there was so many different kinds of answers. Some people said, well, wear a thong, and other people said, well, wear poi shorts. Everybody had like opinions about the type of fabric for underwear, blah, 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 blah. But what became clear is that most people didn't know that you're not supposed to wear any panties. Like commando is the way to go. It was just really interesting to me that half the women were like, oh my God, I didn't know. Really? You don't wear any underwear? It was really fascinating that they didn't know because the ad people had never thought to state something so obvious, right? Obviously, I told it way better than that. But after that, I started getting better and better practicing my storytelling, and I started getting referrals. And those referrals led to this 5-figure painful client where I didn't have to chase them. I didn't have to convince them. I didn't have to wheedle or haggle over price. It was the easiest, most beautiful thing ever. And it was because I'd really stepped up my game with storytelling. So that's the panty line story. Let's get to the framework. Take the word trust, and it's an acronym. T is for transformational preview, R is for relatable problem, U is for an unexpected discovery, S is for a specific solution, and T is for a tangible outcome. So how do we use it? Well, my panty line story, the shortened version, not the long rambling one, but the shortened version really fits this pretty well. So the transformational preview was that I had showed a photo to a group of people of a woman with a visible panty line, in order to illustrate what happens when copy doesn't cut it or when copy is missing some key elements. The relatable problem was wanting your butt to look as smooth and bunch-free and line-free as in the ads. The unexpected discovery then was that when you see ads for leggings, they talk about all kinds of stuff except the really important thing, which is panty lines. And the specific solution was that if I were writing leggings copy, I would absolutely talk about the panty line issue, or specifically how to avoid panty lines. And then the tangible outcome was that I started getting referrals because everybody in the room, not only did they think of me next time they saw a panty line out in the wild, and you will too, you're welcome, but they also started thinking of me when somebody mentioned to them, hey, I have a problem. My marketing's not working. My copy's not landing. They'd be like, oh, Lisa, like she like, does the unexpected. She goes to bat for you. She really researches about pain points, blah, 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 right? So that's what made me stand out. The story, not me saying, this is what I do, or I do some research and I look at the pain points. No, I told a story that illustrated it. So let's try this with a client success story instead. Think of something like, I'm going to use myself. Lisa went from broke to booked out in 30 days. 6 months earlier, she was ready to burn her business to the ground and just go get J-O-B, because no matter how brilliant she was or how well she served her clients, she couldn't quite convince them of the value that she brought to the table in a way that made them say, yes, here, take my money. But when she started using stories in her marketing and sales conversations, suddenly, instead of crickets, her closing rate jumped from 20 to 60% in the matter of just 1 month. Okay. So, right. If I had instead said, I help clients increase their conversion rates by telling stories, it's not quite as compelling. It doesn't land. And probably by the time I've said the first instance of I, you'd have tuned out. So this story really does several things at once. On the one hand, it proves to others that these results are possible because somebody else achieved them. It relates to people and their struggle, and it demonstrates that there is a solution, what the solution is. And also at the very end, it creates desire in the reader for that same outcome. So a story accomplishes multiple things at once. Now, here's where this gets even more powerful. Different people react to different elements and different triggers, psychological triggers and motivators. So if I'm telling the panty line story to a D type, I might emphasize landing a 5-figure client really fast. For I types, I might play up the community aspect, right? They love to be in social groups. They love to be part of a crowd. For the S types, I might go into the empathy angle, right? Like, I give enough of a shit to listen to you and understand what your pain points are and then help you find a solution. And for C types, the kicker for them would be the fact that I write copy based on real data and not assumptions. So same story, 4 different psychological triggers based on their disc type. Now, what if you don't have client results yet? What if you don't think you're creative enough to write your own panty line story? Well, if you have a business and you've achieved at least one thing in your life, then you have story material. You actually have 3 core brand stories that you could write out today and start using them in your marketing to help you get more sales and to help you build credibility, authority, and trust with your audience. So let's get into them. Those are your struggle story, why you started your business. The second is your discovery story, the moment you realized that you had a solution that worked. And then the third one is your mission or your service story, who you serve and how you serve them. Put each one into the trust framework and use them until you have more stories to tell. And once you do actually have client success stories, you can layer them in, weave them in to make them much, much stronger, because your core brand stories are actually going to be something that you're going to come back to over and over again and relate your client success stories to these to show the correlation and help build that trust even further. So go write out these 3 stories and then start practicing telling them. Tell them to a camera, tell them to the mirror, tell them to your dog, but start telling them out loud and try and get them down to under 2 minutes each. And then practice some more and try and get them down to under 1 minute each, right? So just so that you feel really, really comfortable telling them. So that is the crux of this story, this long-winded ramble about panty lines and getting stories into your marketing. And I just want you to understand that every satisfied customer is a potential case study, right? Every problem you've ever solved is story material. Difference between people who are struggling to make a sale and those who sell with ease and not sleaze. It's not something that just, some people are gifted with and others aren't. It's a skill. It's a learnable skill. And if I can do it, so can you. If I can be here on camera telling stories, telling stupid stories and getting results with them, so can you. Don't be afraid. Don't judge yourself, laugh at yourself, get out there and tell stories. So for more storytelling training, live coaching calls, hot seat opportunities, personalized feedback on your own stories, join us in the Words That Sell community over on School. The first 50 members actually are going to be able to get in for $9 a month, and then it's going to go up to $99. So I'd love to welcome you in as a founder. Write out your stories. Come join us in the community to test them out and get feedback. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay? Ciao.